Taylor remains a menace, and thank God. Hello and welcome to Queen Things. I am your host, KJ Miller. I am a founder, a lecturer, and a content creator. And as you all know by now, a Swiftie. And Taylor, once again, being the menace she is, blessed us with a new performance and a new interview. And yes, we are going to talk about it. What else are we going to talk about today? We're also going to talk about some of the recent business mishaps from a number of brands, including Callaway and Good, both golfing brands. Whatever. I don't much care about golf. I do care about a recent ad that they put out. I also want to talk about a brand called Love Sack. They made a decision to respond to a creator, I think, terribly. And I want to talk about that. Yet another brand I was not familiar with. I want to talk about Tarte Cosmetics, a brand I am very familiar with. They're in my lane, in my industry, the cosmetics industry. They also have made some interesting decisions recently. You know, as a business person, you know, who does business, I do have thoughts on all of those. And though this is not a business focused podcast, I used to have one of those. I want to get into some of that. What else? Dolly Parton has passed away. I want to talk a little bit about Dolly and what she has personally meant to me. She's meant so much to so many people, but I want to tell you about what she has meant to me. Oh, and then I guess I might have a little bit to share about Meghan and Harry. I don't know if you saw the news about them. They have moved back to the UK. So I might want to touch on them. And as always, I'm going to end with what I'm reading. So let's get into it right after our announcements. And the only announcement is I am finally ready to reveal what this month's bonus episode will be. And it will be me listening to Sarah Bareilles' new album for the first time and giving you my first take review. Her album, Good Grief, drops on Friday. If I haven't shared before, I love Sarah Bareilles. I have loved her for many years. My husband and I both, for our anniversary this year, we are going to go see her in concert in Cincinnati. If you will be there too, you know, holler at me. I have always loved her. And so, of course, I'm going to be listening to this album. And so I will be listening and reviewing for the Patreon. So if you think you might be at all interested in my take on her new album, be sure to join the Patreon before Friday. I mean, you could join after Friday too, because it'll be there. It'll continue to exist. But that is the announcement. I can't wait for that album, and I can't wait to share my thoughts with you. All right, let's get to the episode. So once again, Taylor has done what she tends to do, which is gag us all. Completely gagged after watching that interview and that performance. I already made a TikTok about how I was all riled up. I was trying to go to bed. Okay. I was trying to go to bed. I was just going to do a quick little TikTok scroll, nothing too crazy. I wasn't going to doom scroll. I was just, going to just see what the people were talking about. And then I was going to put on my audiobook and go to bed. Okay. Well, the first thing that pops up on my For You page is Taylor. Someone talking about Taylor's performance and interview. And I'm like, no, she did not. Go over to YouTube. Yes, in fact, she did. She performed at the Grammys. She gave a full, almost hour-long interview with I think the CEO of the Recording Academy, and then did a performance. The performance was what really took my breath away. I'm going to talk about the interview as well. But this performance, I have to tell you, first of all, she did a mashup of I Knew It, I Knew You, into August, into All Too Well. I think, and she described it as a mashup of songs all about memory, having the memory of something great, something grand, and kind of the through line of returning back to those memories. I'm paraphrasing here. You can watch her talk about it. But I will say, first of all, I thought her vocals were immaculate. I thought she sounded so good. I thought she made some vocal decisions that I frankly haven't really heard her make before. A few more runs than I am accustomed to hearing Taylor do. Nothing crazy, but I thought really well placed and really well executed. And then I also, and I have felt this way, I have been of two minds sometimes when it comes to Taylor's mashups. I have seen her do them in a way that feels very, very effortless and like very thoughtful, but also effortless. Like, of course, these two songs go together. And of course, you're splicing them this way. I have had that feeling when listening to her mashups. I have also had the feeling of it being a bit overwrought. Like she's trying to fit so many thoughts into whatever the mashup is. It's never like been to the point where I'm like, ooh, I hate it. Just more like, oh, okay, it does. I can feel the effort here. I can feel that you are very much trying to make all of these somewhat disparate pieces fit together for, you know, for whatever the moment is or what you're trying to get across. And that's perfectly okay. They're her songs. She can mash up any one of her songs she wants to. Like I said, it's never made me upset. It's just there are times when I personally feel like it really lands in such a dreamy way. And there are times where it feels a bit more mechanical. Well, this mashup at the Grammys performance for me definitely was the former. It definitely felt like it all fit so well to the point where I almost was like, did you write all these songs thinking about them while you were writing them? Like when you were, however old she was, 16, 19, I don't know, when writing All Too Well, were you also secretly thinking about August? Hello? Because that's how well it all fit together. And the choices she made about when to spice them together. This is another thing I think is so special about Taylor and her mashups. She's not just going to sing a verse and a chorus of one song and then take you into the verse and the chorus of the next song. You kind of don't know exactly where you're going to walk into a song. Is she going to go from the bridge of this song to the bridge of the next, or the bridge of this song to the chorus of the next? Is she going to weave verses together, which, by the way, these are all things she did in this mashup, but in a way that felt, again, very effortless, very natural. Like, oh, this is just how these songs were supposed to be sung. I have to impress upon you how difficult that is. And not only does it seem extremely difficult to me to piece that together, but then to play it and remember it and sing it all. You know, I wasn't sure if that piano that she plays with, because it does seem to have, it seems like an acoustic piano that's been like souped up a bit. And so I do wonder if, like, I don't know if there's like a little electric panel that she's able to view below her, kind of the way it looked like the piano had that she was rehearsing with. Like if you go back and watch the Eras documentary tour, it had like a little screen. And I'm assuming that little screen maybe just like has the chords written very simply, which would not be cheating at all. I mean, to be putting all these songs together and everything else, the least that I would need to be able to do that is the chord progressions in front of me. Like, now I have not been playing piano for the past 35 years the way she has. However, I personally would need that. I bring that up just to say, I do wonder, like, is there some kind of reference in front of her to help her? I could very much see it not being the case, because I don't think she had that when she would get up and play her guitar songs, like anything to really reference. So I could very much see it not being the case, but if it were the case, that would make complete and utter sense to me. Because also, even if it were the case that there was something down there that she could reference, she's rarely looking down. If you watch her performances, she's typically like looking up. So whatever that could be there, she would just be glancing at it, which is why I think at most, maybe it's a few chord progressions, like C to D to G to A back to C, you know, and maybe in little stanzas that sort of remind her, like, okay, now I'm going to this thing. Even that, to be honest, sometimes when I'm playing piano, I actually find having the chords in front of me can also be distracting. It's better for me to just memorize it, because now if I'm having to like think back and glance down, but I don't glance at the right thing at the right time, now that's almost even another step. All of this is very niche. I'm sure many of you are like, KJ, why are you spending so much time talking about this? And I'll tell you why, because I'm befuddled and so impressed every time she does something like this, because I just know how hard it is. It is hard. It might not be hard for her, but it is hard. It is difficult to do this, to put all these songs together and remember, okay, from this verse, I'm now going to jump to the bridge of this song, but I'm not going to sing the whole thing. I'm going to sing the first third of it, because then I want to double back to the chorus of the second song. Like, whew. just talking about it, I'm getting tired. For her to make it look very, very easy. I just want you to know I'm impressed. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. My very long-winded way of saying I'm impressed. And I thought she sounded fantastic. I loved it. I would take that 6-minute version as a track if she wanted to release it. I know she loves to release things that I don't buy. I don't spend money on your voice notes, Taylor, and I don't spend money on your merch. But if you dropped that 6-minute track and told me the only way to access it was to pay my little 99 cents, I think I would. Personally, I think I would. And now let's get to the interview. I will say this before I dive into the particulars of the interview. When I first became a Swiftie, I was under the impression that Taylor didn't really talk as much to the fans as she used to. And the reason I was under the impression is because that's what y'all told me. Y'all told me, oh, back in the olden days, Taylor used to talk to us all the time. She used to hop up on Tumblr. She used to invite us to her house and bake us cookies. She was so accessible. Like, y'all made it sound like Taylor was a girl down the block. Oh, you could just kick it with any time. And now she was all buttoned up. Now you could barely get an Instagram post from Taylor. Y'all really made me think this girl was inaccessible. She is extremely accessible as far as I can tell from these, going on 3 years I have been a Swiftie. By that, I mean, it feels like every time I look up, she's doing an interview. This is part of the reason I was confused because I'm like, we have an hour-long interview with Taylor, but we just had a multi-interview process with her for her album. And before that, we had a almost 2-hour interview on her boyfriend's podcast. And then she gave us the photos from her engagement. We had the Time interview not too long before that. We have the Eras documentary. I'm like, she seems accessible. I'm not saying Tumblr accessible. I'm not saying she's baking us cookies at her house. I'm just saying relative to what I'm used to in the Beehive. Oh, no. Taylor is far more accessible than Beyonce. When was the last time Beyonce gave us an interview? A true blue interview, sat down and let somebody talk to her for an hour, for 30 minutes. We were hyped when, do y'all remember when she won her Album of the Year Grammy? And while she was walking down the red carpet, someone said to her, "The hive is buzzing." And she turned around, flipped her hair and said, "There, the hive is buzzing." That was as much interaction as we have had with Beyonce in years. So when I joined the Swifterhood, I'm thinking like, okay, Taylor, she's going to be the same. Don't ask for too much. She is going to sing her songs and then go away. Okay. Cause she don't want to talk to us. She loves to talk to us. I feel very happy about it. To be clear, I feel very happy about that. It just isn't what I was expecting when I became indoctrinated into this group, because y'all told me she wasn't as accessible. Every time I turn around, she's doing a new interview. And I love it. I love it. Oh, I didn't even talk about when she got inducted. She did that interview for the New York Times, right? For the when they named her one of the greatest songwriters, I think. We got a whole interview from that. I have heard so much from Taylor Swift. Most of it about her songwriting, but also a lot about her sourdough. I just have heard a lot from her. And I'm happy about it. To be clear, I'm happy about it. Okay, but let's get into some of the particulars of this interview. There were a few moments in particular that I really enjoyed because I do feel like she kind of was addressing some of the hate from Showgirl without mentioning it or addressing it. She kind of pinned it more to Reputation and the what she went through in the lead up to Reputation. But I feel like we're seeing the same sort of thing happen with Showgirl. And so I felt like she almost was addressing it. So she was talking about how you can respond when it feels like everything that you say is being purposefully misunderstood, misinterpreted, when people are jumping to overreacting and not just reacting. And she obviously was feeling so much of that in the lead up to Reputation, right? Where, she was the snake and everything else. But I think everything that she said about this, you could absolutely apply to the aftermath of Showgirl, because to me, and I've talked about this many times, people's reactions to that album to this day And I think for many days to come, it will never not be shocking to me how much people dragged it to the nth degree. The trad wife narrative, the MAGA narrative, the narrative, the Nazi narrative, and white supremacist narrative, the narrative that she hates women. It felt like every song on what is just a fairly giddy and unserious pop album, every song had a deeper, darker meaning, according to the people of the internet, right? And so, what she says to the interviewer is, when you're in that place where everything you say is being mocked, the public is in this hate frenzy, it doesn't matter what you say, they just want to point at it and mock it and hate you for it. You can't respond sincerely, because that's just going to be mocked and hated too, right? And so she says, and so what I did was came out with "Look What You Made Me Do," and in the video I'm like rising from the grave, and it's all very tongue-in-cheek and it's all very over the top, because like that's what it had to be. It's not like I could come out, sing. Now I'm paraphrasing. It's not like she could come out and sing this very wispy ballad about like, oh, woe is me, the world hates me. Like, that wasn't going to do it. Okay. And I really appreciated that. And I think you see that a bit with Showgirl as well, because if you look at, in the midst of everybody hating on Opalite, that was one of the songs people love to hate on and say, because she spoke about the Onyx Night, she was referring to Travis's ex-girlfriend. It's truly so crazy to me. It actually is crazy to me. Anyway, and then what did she do? She gave us the most unserious music video I have ever seen to that song. She didn't say, oh, y'all are hating so much on that song, so I'm not going to talk about it, or I'm going to come out and try to defend this song I wrote and explain to you that the Onyx Night was not, in fact, a metaphor for Travis's Black ex-girlfriend. I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is make this deeply unserious music video to it, because I still like the song. To me, I see that through line. I feel like Taylor has figured out part of me having this job and being as big as I am, which is as big as I wanted to be. She is as big as she wanted to be. Part of that means there will absolutely be times, be moments, be eras where people are hating on me, where people just, everything I say annoys them. Every song is something they want to point at. And I can either try and respond, in this super sincere way and explain every single thing, or I can make a joke of it. And I've decided that for me and my mental health, making a joke of it makes more sense. And I definitely feel her on that. I feel her so much on that. It reminds me of how, when I was younger and like, being bullied or people being mean to me, I realized, okay, if I can make them laugh with me, they won't laugh at me. It's one of the reasons I developed a sense of humor. It's one of the reasons I became, I think, a fairly funny person, because it was a defense mechanism. It absolutely was. It's the reason why I say beautiful people are rarely funny, because they never had to be. Name the hottest person you know, and then tell me if you think they're also hilarious. You don't. You don't, because they didn't have to be. Anyway, what I'm saying is I relate. And I always feel a little weird when I say things like I relate to Taylor Swift. But I do in this regard. I relate to the idea that when people are hating on you and just determined to drag you down, you can try to respond with sincerity, but humor often works better, like not taking yourself too seriously typically works better. That's been my experience too. So I've definitely vibed with that moment of the interview. Another moment I really vibed with was when she was talking about her songwriting. She was talking about the different ways she likes to express herself, sometimes with really deep, emotionally just wrecked lyrics, and sometimes much lighter, much easier. And she said something to the effect of, there will be people who will say, like, I can't believe the person who wrote this. But her response to that was, I like human contradiction. And basically she said something to the effect of, I like the variety that humans embody. And again, this to me felt like another response to a lot of what people said about Showgirl. This woman is very smart. She's very media trained, and she is going to tell you what needs to be said without trying to spell it out exactly. Because again, this is something that so many people said about Showgirl. Like, these lyrics, like, I can't believe she wrote Fate of Ophelia. Where's the woman who wrote Invisible String? Where's the woman who wrote The Prophecy? Now you're giving me Wood? I love Wood. It's unironically, like, I think my favorite song on the album. It might be my second favorite. Father Figure might be my favorite, and then Wood. Anyway, the point is, I love that song. And one of the things I said when the album came out, one of the I made many TikTok videos about that album. But one of the things I said was, it is so confusing to me that so many of y'all seem to think Taylor should only be allowed to be one thing. She should only ever be a tortured poet. She should only ever give us Shakespearean level lyricism. What if she just wants to bone? She can't write a song about that? Why not? I want to hear it. And she did write it. She wrote Wood, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I don't think that makes her less intellectual, and I don't think it makes me less intellectual. It's a fun song. Some of y'all hate fun, and I feel like that's really what Taylor was trying to say. Some of y'all hate fun. I might write, extremely emotional lyrics. I might use big ass words that you don't understand and have to look up, which is also some shade she threw during that interview. I might do that, and I might write something very simple that is meant to just make you smile. And both can be great. I appreciated that, because I often feel like people don't want to let women be multiple things. I will say that is the theme of my book. If it ever gets sold, if it ever sees the light of day, it's called Doing the Most. That is the theme of my life. I do so many things, and I have on many occasions fielded the question, why are you doing this and this? When do you have time to teach? You're teaching, but you're also making videos on the internet. What? Yes, I'm doing both, and running, multiple multi-million-dollar brands. I'm doing all that. And I hope to do more. I hope to do more things that I haven't done. And I do feel like women especially are often told to just do the one thing, particularly if it's clear you do that one thing well. Well, now it's okay, this is the thing you do well, so you need to just do that. And that's never resonated with me. And part of the reason I feel like Taylor's music resonates with me is because she's not trying to just be a thing in her music. She's not trying to just do one thing. It's one of the reasons I love Beyonce as well. Beyonce is the genre master, because she will not be bound by genre. And I love that so much. So that was another moment of the interview that I just really enjoyed. Anyway, much more was said. I encourage you to watch it, but those were some of the moments that stuck out to me. And I did deeply love the performance. And I do love how accessible Taylor is to me. To me, she is extremely accessible. And I like that. And now I want to switch gears a bit and talk about Dolly Parton. Obviously, Dolly Parton is an icon, a legend, and well known for her music, the beautiful music she wrote that has been covered by everybody and their brother, and the beautiful music she sang. But what I know her most for, frankly, in my household, is the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is the organization that she founded in honor of her father, who grew up illiterate, to send out books for free to any kid in America who signs up. Oh my God. I feel like I'm going to tear up. I signed my daughter up. She's just a few months old. And we received a new book every single month. for years. I think we're still receiving them, although I do think it times out after like maybe 5. My daughter's 5 now. I gotta look and see when the last one was that we got. These books just meant so much to my daughter because it was just like this gift she got every month. And also, my daughter is a very early reader. She was reading by the time she turned 3. And people always ask, like, what did you do? What did you do? I don't think we did anything differently than most parents. We just always were reading to her. We were always just any book. And she just loved it from when she was truly a newborn. Or like we would open up a book when she was a newborn and she would just stare. Like it held her attention. She was captivated from so early on. And having that, all those new books arriving, every single month, it fueled that passion in her. And also just the thought that like, we're in a position where we don't need a free book every month. I can buy my daughter a book every month, but it wasn't like you had to fill out some form to figure out like, are you eligible for this? Dolly just wanted it to be for every kid because she knows how much joy reading brings and also how important it is. And to me, to have that be your legacy when your entire legacy could be her music. Her catalog is beyond priceless. And that alone is a big enough legacy, but her legacy really will be not only this imagination library, which is so meaningful to me and my family and so many families, but also her philanthropy, and it just, I don't know. When I think about her, I just think about having that sort of giving spirit, wanting your legacy to be more than this already huge thing that you've done and given to the world, but wanting to take it a step farther simply because that's the person you are. It is just incredibly, incredibly touching, has genuinely meant so much to me, to my child, to my family. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to her. I hope, to have a morsel of that amount of a giving spirit and that type of legacy. It is just beyond. It's beyond. So thank you to Dolly. Rest in peace, rest in power. And I just want to express my gratitude. And let's switch gears again and get into some mess. And by mess, I mean business mess. I want to touch on 3 brands that recently have really kind of been dragged through the mud because of their own decisions, marketing decisions, and social media decisions. Starting with Tarte. If you didn't see it, Tarte has a new, I don't know, I guess it's like a contour stick. And to promote it, they sent out PR boxes to influencers that effectively said, you need plastic surgery, but instead of that, just use our contour stick. Like they took pictures of these influencers' faces and then marked it up with little like lines the way a surgeon would pre-surgery, and then had a checklist on a sheet of paper that said like, rhinoplasty, upper bleph, facelift, check, all the things that needed done. But then you open the package underneath your photo of your cut up, marked up face, and it's their new product that's going to give you these surgery results. I can't even fathom what would possess somebody to do that. That is so crazy to me. And of course, they faced a ton of backlash for it. Then you, of course, have these golf guys, Callaway and Good Golf, who put out this ad. I guess they have collaborated on a driver, which is a type of golf club, I have learned since researching. And in the ad, a woman goes to pull this golf club from the bag, and a man runs from where he's standing, pushes her, shoves her to the ground, stands over her and says, "Don't touch my driver." Okay, so obviously it's giving domestic violence and nobody liked it, and they have pulled the ad and both companies have apologized. How it took this reaction for anybody on either team to see that this was a bad idea, beyond me. And then third, we have this company called Lovesac who makes couches. Now, apparently, one of their couches costs $8,000. It's like a huge sectional, $8,000. When they ship it to you, it is shipped in 20 different boxes. And then you just have to do the manual labor to assemble it. And this man made a video talking about how it took him 7 hours to assemble the entire sofa. And listen, plenty of furniture nowadays, that's how it comes, and you do have to assemble it. I assembled this filing cabinet over here. I hung up these shelves you're looking at. I assembled the couch I'm looking at over there. I have a bookcase over there that I assembled. I'm probably the chief assembler in my home. My husband also assembles, but sometimes I don't want to wait. As soon as I get the box, I'm like, let me just get to it. The point is, having to assemble furniture is very common. Having to assemble furniture that costs $8,000, however, is not something I am familiar with. My good furniture, like I'm looking through here to my dining room table, that's a nice set, okay? And we bought it back when we lived in New York, and it has held up, and it cost a little pretty penny. And the furniture store that we bought it from, they promptly sent their people over to fully assemble it for us, because I think for that table, it was just the 4 legs that weren't yet assembled. Even that, which wouldn't have taken that long for me and my husband to do, they did it because it was expensive. To me, when you're spending that kind of money, I should not also have to pull out my tool belt. That's me. That's me. But apparently that's also how everybody else in the comments felt, because this video that this man made got millions of views, and everyone is in the comments like, $8,000 and you got to put it together, and it cost and it took you 7 hours. And so then the CEO decided to make a video mocking this man, basically saying like, oh, I'll send you some dainty little gloves, because he at one point put gloves on because he had been opening so many boxes. He was like, my hands hurt, and put gloves on. He's like, I'll send you some dainty replacement gloves. And also said something about his wife being horny. Very weird behavior. Then they also posted basically a meme of a woman who was assembling a sofa, and the caption says, "This and not getting the ick from a grown man needing tiny little gloves to assemble a couch." Okay, so obviously clowning this man. And obviously that does not go over well with anybody, because this man just spent 7 hours assembling your $8,000 couch, and now you're mocking him. So the CEO has to get back online and say like, oh, it was all fun and games and blah, blah, blah. All right, so what are my thoughts? I'm sort of two minds on this. A part of me genuinely thinks these companies are purposefully creating these very hostile and aggressive moments because they know that they will get attention. And I do think there are plenty of people who still feel like all press is good press. Tarte has had so many of these controversies. At this point, it feels like it has to be intentional. This CEO from Lovesac who got up online and was clowning this man obviously was doing it for the clout. Like, he felt like, oh, okay, you made this video, you got millions of views. Now I'm going to make a little response video. I'm going to be funny too. So I do feel like there is very much an element here of y'all are doing this. You're essentially rage baiting at this point. Like, because rage is engagement too. And I truly had never heard the terms Callaway or good. Now, in their case, to me, you've now made me someone who will never shop your brands on the very, 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 very small chance that I ever need to purchase a golf anything. I'm going to have it in my head, oh, but not from y'all. So I personally feel like rage baiting is not a good technique. Same for Tarte. Like, I don't really buy makeup because, hello, I founded a makeup brand. Literally all the makeup on my face is Minted Cosmetics. But if I were going to buy makeup, I would never buy Tarte. Not just because of this most recent thing, but if you know, they have a long history of not doing a great job as it relates to creators and consumers of color. So I personally disagree with the mantra, all press is good press, but I have to believe somebody in those marketing teams believes that. So that's part one. I do feel like some of this is rage baiting, and they're just feeling like all engagement is good engagement. But the other thing I think is, I will say this about TikTok in particular. TikTok is typically much kinder algorithmically to creators than it is to brands. And the TikTok algorithm, historically, things are changing. Historically, is a bigger fan of authenticity and, things not being quite as polished. And I still think that that's true today. And so I think you've seen a lot of brands adapt their marketing strategy, particularly their social media marketing strategy, to better fit the TikTok algorithm, which does want things to be less polished, which does want things to be a bit more humorous, a bit more off the cuff, and to feel more authentic. And so the way you can do that is by making videos that are less polished. Maybe, I'll speak for Minted, our brand brief that we are giving creators, pretty much the only direction that we're giving out now is we want to see you show the product in the first 3 seconds. That's kind of as much direction as we're giving people. Other than that, we're not telling them, oh, make sure the lighting is this, or make sure it's get ready with me. Make sure to mention these 3 things. And it varies, but for the most part, we're not giving them as much direction because we know it's got to feel authentic. And so in order for it to feel authentic and for the algorithm to like it, it's really got to come from you. So yeah, we want to see the products, but other than that, it's kind of up to you. So I do think that now that people are essentially having to kind of unpolish, uncurate, it's created this environment where almost an anything goes environment. And I do think some brands are sort of like, they see things work for other brands that like maybe even a few years ago you would have never done. And so it sort of makes it feel like try anything, right? Because the algos, they don't want curated, they don't want the same level of polish that, for instance, broadcast TV wanted 10 years ago if we were going to put an ad on their channel. So anything goes. And I think that loosey-goosey sort of vibe has created a world where marketers feel like, oh, we can do anything. We can do anything. And if it is eye-catching and, thumb-stopping from that scroll perspective, then it'll work. I think that that is both good and bad. On the one hand, I do feel like I want to interact with brands that feel like they kind of know how to talk to me. I think that's one of the reasons, Jackie Ina's brand, Forever Mood. I don't even wear fragrance, but I have purchased Forever Mood fragrance, partially because I love her and I want to support her, but also because I do feel like their marketing, it feels like it's sort of in conversation with you. And I do like that. And I think that that matters in this day and age. But I also think some of these brands are getting too comfortable, and it's a fine line to walk. It's a fine line to walk. And a lot of y'all are not walking it very well. But I get the struggle. I get the struggle because we are trying to figure it out too. What we're not doing, however, is insinuating that any of you need plastic surgery. So if you're looking for a makeup brand, that is not insinuating that you need to fundamentally alter the shape and look of your face in order to be beautiful. I invite you to try out Minted Cosmetics. Okay. Because we think you're beautiful exactly as you are. We think makeup should be to enhance, not transform. And we think makeup is fun and you don't need it, but sometimes you want it. And when you want it to look good on your skin tone. That's what we're about. So just thought I'd drop that little plug. All right. And before I get to what I'm reading, I will just quickly touch on this Harry and Meghan moving back to the UK announcement. I've seen a few reactions to this. I've seen people basically say, like, kind of just rolling their eyes, like, okay, so y'all put us through all of this, that, and the third, talking about you had to get out and you were silenced, not silent, and did the interview with Oprah and, the racist royals and the press in, Britain. But now you're moving back. So like eye roll. I've seen reactions like that. I've seen basically people say like, well, you're still not close with your family over there and you're still not going to be working royals. So what's the point in going back? I personally feel like my reaction is pretty muted. I don't have a big reaction to it. To me, families deciding to pick up and move and be closer to family always makes sense. And I feel like the fact that they are not close to his family almost makes it make sense, just in the sense that if he is at all interested in mending those relationships, I could see that. They've also enrolled them at school. And to me, the most important thing to me when I think about where am I going to pick up and move is my child's education. So I have to imagine they are thinking about their kids' education. Now, they lived in Montecito, California, which is very, very bougie. I have to imagine there's good education out there too. But I don't know the ins and outs in particulars. If they feel like the education across the pond is going to be better for their kids, I get that. I get maybe wanting to mend fences with your family members. I certainly get not wanting to live in America under Donald Trump. 100% that makes sense to me. So I don't know. My reaction is, okay, cool. They had a family discussion, decided that's what made sense for their family, and they moved. I hope it can be better. I hope being there, but not being working royals. I hope the press can be kinder. I just hope it can be better. To me, that's really all I feel about it. I don't know that it requires any more than that. Good luck. And with that, we get to what I'm reading. As always, if you don't care about what I'm reading, you can always end the pod here. But I'm always reading something, and I always want to talk about it. The book I just read is called All Fours. I read it because my good friend told me she wanted me to read it because she wanted to talk about it. Now, when she told me she wanted to read it, I'm going to be honest, she didn't give it a great sell. Basically, it sounded like she thought it was not great, but also disturbing, but in a way that she wanted to talk about. And I was like, I don't know. She's like, KJ, you read like a book every 2 days. You can do it. And I was like, okay, fine. You're right. I do read a book almost every 2 to 3 days. So fine. I read this book. I listened to it. As you guys know, I'm an audiobook girly. And it is, without spoilers, one of the most ridiculous and disturbing books I've ever read. It's about a woman who is 45 years old trying to find herself. I guess is what you could say. A 45-year-old woman trying to find herself. And the decisions she makes while attempting to find herself will leave you befuddled. Absolutely befuddled. They certainly did me. She and I are having our little mini book club discussion about it this Friday. And I'm looking forward to that. Because my first thing I'm going to say to her is, why did you have me read this book? Woo! Let me tell you what I'm not recommending to you right now. This book. I am not. If you read it, you might enjoy it. I spent most of it being confused, being disturbed, being like, girl, what? Why would you do that? Every single decision she made, I was just like, why on God's green earth and on Beyonce's internet would you be making these sorts of decisions? Ooh, I'll tell you, the phrase that came to mind more than once was white nonsense. That absolutely was the phrase that came to mind many, many times. White nonsense. But, whites are going to white. And I'm reading here, it was a New York Times bestseller and a finalist for the National Book Award. The New York Times, I don't trust y'all anymore because the other book I read upon their recommendation, The Candy House, terrible. Oh my God. So I'm sorry, I don't trust y'all. Whatever, read it if you want to. I'm telling you, probably don't. Let's see, what else have I read recently? Oh, right before that, I read Dolly All the Time. I really enjoyed that. I gave it 5 stars. It's a nice romance, well written, very feel good. Could have used a bit more steam. I like steamy scenes that actually tell me what's happening. Okay, I want to know. Don't talk about it and then be like, and then it was, and then we closed the door, that it was over. No. Sorry, I want to know what actually happened. Who did what to whom? That's just me. So I could have used a bit more sex in the sex scenes. However, I really enjoyed it. Oh, and then the other book I do want to talk about is the one for my book club tonight, Sky Full of Elephants. This is another one that if I didn't have a reason to finish it, I hate to say it, I never DNF Black authors. This is a Black author. And by that, I mean, I'm not saying I never not finish their books. I never publicly DNF their books. Like I would never go to Goodreads and mark a Black author's book as DNF and feel about that how you want. That's just something that I don't do. And I also don't rate Black authors' books less than 3 stars. But between me and you, me and you, because this is a little community we have built together. I'm going to state this very, just very solemnly here. This book for me probably would have been about maybe exactly 3 stars, maybe a 2.75. It was a long, meandering journey with a fairly disappointing end. And that's what I'm going to say about it. You're like, KJ, why are you telling me about these books you don't want me to read? Good question. Good question. I'm not saying I don't want you to read them. You might read them and be blown away by them. I'm just telling you, for me, it took me a long time to get through Sky Full of Elephants because I read it physically. And most of it I did not enjoy. But you read it and you be the judge. And that is it. We have made it to the end. I do hope you join the Patreon so that we can enjoy this new Sarah Bareilles album together. I will be reviewing it. That review will come out before the end of August. That's what I can promise you. And I'll see you next time.